Good? Okay. We will now open the March regular school board meeting called to session. 1.1, roll call. Let the record reflect that all school board members are in attendance tonight. Recognition of visitors and guests. Thanks to everyone who is in attendance tonight. 1.3, Pledge of Allegiance. Everyone stand, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. 1.4, correspondence and recognition. We did have one request for public participation, but that did get canceled until further notice. 1.42, recognition of student, staff, and community, and I'm going to let Lori do that.
Okay, we have a nice long list here. To start with, we have congratulations are in order to the Prairie Elementary and Intermediate School students who raised $5,498 through their annual Coins for Cancer fundraiser and donated the money to the Children's Miracle Network of Sioux Falls. Congratulations to Alondra Leon Flores as a recipient of the President's Regional Forensics Speech Scholarship from Southwest Minnesota State University. Congratulations to our Trojans gymnastics team who are awarded the Section 3A Academic Champion team with a GPA of 3.97. Congratulations to Worthington's wrestler Chase Byrne, who earned first place in sections and advanced to the Minnesota State Wrestling Tournament. He was also named to the Big South Conference Wrestling All-Conference team. Congratulations to Leslie Hernandez Hiraquez, a second grader at Prairie Elementary and placing second in the Wilmot VFW Auxiliary Annual Illustrating American Art Contest for grades K through 8. Congratulations to the first place winners of the Intermediate School Science Fair who will advance to the Regional Science Fair in Mankato. First place winners were Catherine Standifer, Brady Schultz, Annabelle Kramer, and Clara Heatbrink. Congratulations also to the Worthington Trojets dance team members who have been named to the Big South Dance All-Conference. That conference for Jazz All-Conference is Zoe Martinez, Kaylee Garcia-Seifert, and Elizabeth Anderson. And for Kick All-Conference, Rosalind Castillo-Loza. Congratulations to the following Worthington High School Business Professionals of America members that competed for the past few days at the Minnesota BPA State Spring Leadership Conference in the cities. Pierre Hatu, third place, advancing to BPA Nationals in Fundamental Desktop Publishing. Martha Garcia Verseca, Worthington Middle School 8th grader in the BPA Middle Level Division. First place, advancing to BPA Nationals in Business Communication Skills Concepts, along with placing second in Word Processing, Business Math Concepts, and Computer Literacy Concepts. Martha will be competing in all events at the Nationals. Also, Ka Tai Blay, fourth place, advancing to BPA Nationals in Advanced Desktop Publishing. Alondra Leon Flores, second place, advancing to BPA Nationals in Administration Research Project, Individual Statesman Torch Award winner. Alexia Puente, National Runner-Up in Fundamental Desktop Publishing. Administration team of LaRonda Leon Flores, Ka Tai Blay, Pierre Hatu, and Edgar Mendez Ocha. They finalized and will be a national runner-up. And final but not last, congratulations to 56 music students who participated in the music contest. There were 47 entries, which of those 47 entries, 40 received superiors and 7 received excellent ratings for those total of 56 students. Congratulations to all these students.
Thank you, Lori.
Oh, you're welcome.
1.4.3, presentation on Learning Center 5 program by Spencer Winnecke, Learning Center Principal.
Thank you for allowing us to join you guys tonight and present on two of our wonderful programs, VIBE and the Learning Center. I'm here with our wonderful Dean of Students, Katie Peterson. We're first going to discuss VIBE.
Currently, we have about 647 students who are enrolled in our public online school, which is known as VIBE. Primarily, we service a large chunk of students who are in the lower grade levels, so like the second grade peaking our top enrollment at 83. And then as the grades go up, the grade bands just kind of shrink. That's just depicting kind of where our enrollment is. And approximately 27 students who live within the Worthington School District are on VIBE. And then we all just want to thank our staff. They're truly awesome. So these are our online staff who are our teachers of record, or TORs, you'll commonly hear. And these are our group of kindergarten through sixth grade, teacher of records. And they live all across the state of Minnesota. And as well as our 7 through 12 teachers, they're teachers of record, and then our MTSS coordinators and our VIBE administrative assistants, as well as the in-district people who service us a lot, such as our assistant director of special ed.
So what does VIBE look like? So VIBE for K through 8 students, they complete your content areas, math, language arts, science, and social studies. They have modules that they complete weekly. They also have, first semester they participate in our PE and health elective, and then second semester which is right now, they participate in art. Our high school students follow our WHS and board approved graduation requirements, which is 30 credits to graduate, along with all of the required and then elective credits. It does mimic a block schedule, so an average student in VIBE has a 4-period day or 4-block day. Giving you a little update on our intervention and MTSS process. So during the first year that VIBE was back open in 23-24, our administrative team completed a self-assessment of our MTSS processes. And just so you're aware, Minnesota MTSS is the multi-tiered systems of support. We went through this self-assessment and we found wonderful strengths that we do well in, but we also found areas that we need improvement and need growth. So what did we do to start this process? We hired a part-time Minnesota MTSS coordinator, and what she does is she assists in the progress monitoring and then the data collection, along with implementing our MTSS processes and procedures. She also assists and provides individualized training to all staff, PLCs, and then individual teachers as well.
We wanted to just kind of share out where our students are who are receiving our intervention services. If you remember, our enrollment was very heavy in the lower grade bands, and that marks true with our intervention services are really being met in those first, second, and third grade bands where the higher enrollment was in our total number. But it just shows that we kind of are very diverse in the students that we are serving in intervention.
So as I said, we've made really good progress, right? But there's more to do. There's more to continue to go. So to prove that progress that we've made, this year alone, of the 5 students that we have identified as having potential need for special education services, all 5 have qualified. But what's next, right? Because we're going to continue to grow in this process. So what's next is we're going to continue to network with other online schools and throughout the state and the country, along with the Department of Education. And then next year, we're going to hire a full-time interventionist to serve these students to meet the needs of those Tier 2 and Tier 3 who need more of those intervention supports. This person will be able to support those interventions. Moving on to the Learning Center.
Currently, our enrollment at the Learning Center holds 134 students. This is grades 7 through 12. We wanted to kind of showcase how many of our students are which grade level. A lot of people ask, well, how many kids do you have there? What are their grade band? Like, who's there? And currently, we have the 74 slated seniors, so these are students who are supposed to graduate at the end of this year or have returned to hopefully graduate in May. and so they are the majority of our students right now, which is a huge number. We also have 10 mid-level students, so these are 7th and 8th graders. And we've had 9 students graduate already this year, whether they are returning students who needed to finish their degree or they had different circumstances to make them able to graduate early. And these are our team. This is our team, and we just, again, if you see these people out in public, thank them. They do a lot of great connections with our students, which you can see that high number of seniors need that high level of support. Students who come to the Learning Center take 5 classes a day, and within those 5, we have an additional Connect class. At the high school here, they offer 4 classes in a day, which is the perk of a credit recovery program. So each day, at the end of the quarter, they will earn a class back, essentially. So they get an extra class that they can earn. The Connect class is an opportunity to build that relationship with their teachers, but also provide an opportunity to make up work that they're missing or get that one-on-one time reteaching moment with the staff. And they have that every day. And to be referred to the Learning Center, they don't just get to come. We go through meetings, such as we call them transition meetings, and they have to fit one of these categories. I would say 95% of our students hit in the credit deficient category that make them applicable to come to the Learning Center. However, we do have students almost in all of these categories that we service. We also service students for the surrounding districts. So for instance, like Fulda, Adrian, Ellsworth, etc. Sometimes they come to night school, which is a whole nother conversation, but we currently are serving someone from Fulda right now who is attending the Learning Center during the day school.
Part of our work at the Learning Center is over the past several years, we work with the Regional Center of Excellence. And our person that we work with is Sam Schrader. We are working towards these 3 buckets. These are our 3 goals that we work towards. So access to core instruction, so that's kind of planning our schedule and what that looks like. Connectedness support for students and early warning systems. Our staff does an amazing job at that. They do an amazing job of meeting the needs of the students, getting to know them, and connecting with them. And then overall our instructional practices. So this line graph that you see here, this is the graduation rates over the past several years, and as you can see, we are trending upward, which is a great trend to see. And we work with the Regional Center of Excellence because we were identified because of our graduation rates and where they were at. And so we need to, in order to not be identified, you need to be at a rate of 70%. So we're getting to that point, which is amazing. We're shooting for the stars. So what's next for both of our programs? We've got a lot of great things coming up here. One of them being our Learning Center and Vibe Advisory Board meetings. That will be here in April 7th at 8:30 following the instructional meeting at the Learning Center. We hope you all can join us. We have our end of year cookout. I'd like to also highlight that and thank Mr. Whitboom and the Rock Nobles Cattlemen's Association for donating their time and supplies. We have our big graduation. We hope you can all be there. That will be May 29th at 6 p.m. at the Learning Center. We have our Credit Recovery Summer School. So one of the other programs, a couple of the other programs that we do at the Learning Center is our night school. And then we do summer school through the month of June. So that will take place in June. And then we have a track and field day for our Vibe students in June. The date is yet to be determined. Questions? Thank you for letting us join you.
Thanks for coming, guys. Okay, moving on. 2.0 approval of agenda. We got a few changes to make to the consent agenda. Take 4.3.2 off of the agenda. 4.5, which is a service co-op contract, move that to 5.11 on your main agenda. So I would need approval of agendas with modifications.
Move to approve with changes.
Motion by Matt,
Second.
second by Ann. All those in favor of the consent and main agenda, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Approval of minutes, approval of the February 2025 school board meeting and the committee meeting minutes. Need a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
Motion by Lori,
Second?
second by Matt. All those in favor of the approval of the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Consent agenda with the modifications. Once again, I need a motion to approve the consent agenda with changes.
So moved.
Motion by Ann,
Second.
second by Aaron. All those in favor of the consent agenda with changes, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Main agenda, 5.1, the financial overview. Carmen?
You guys should have the revenues and expenditures for the month ending of February. Our eighth month of our fiscal year. Oops, sorry. Got on loud enough. We're in the 8th month of our fiscal year. Our collective revenues are running very close, and we, as we were to last year, currently we're at 65.47% compared to the 62.4 last year. At the same time, and our expenditures are also on track. We're currently this year at 60.31% compared to 62.96 last year. And when we talk about these expenditures, that's compared to our budget. You know, if you guys are ever wondering like what we're comparing these to, it's our budget numbers and then where we're at expenditure wise. So as we kind of go, Ryan, as we're paying bills and getting our revenues in, that's what he's comparing that to.
Okay. Any questions for Carmen? Okay, 5.2, approve second reading of policy 522, sex non-discrimination policy, grievance procedure and process. John?
This was presented at the instructional committee. It's the second reading. No changes were made. Again, this is the model policy presented from MSBA and their recommendation, as well as the instructional committee to approve the policy.
I move approval of the second reading of policy 522.
Motion by Lori,
Second.
second by Ann. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor of the second reading of policy 522, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. 5.3, approve the tax abatement resolution.
So we held the hearing before this regular meeting, and this is for Lot 1, Block 1 of Glenwood Heights Edition, Sterling Avenue, with a parcel ID of 311860-005. And the request is coming from Lonnie and Nancy Johnson. And from the committee, the recommendation was for approval.
Motion to approve tax abatement.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Ann, seconded by Lori. Is there any further discussion? And this is a roll call vote. Lisa?
Ms. Dudley,
Aye.
Ms. Agard,
Aye.
Ms. Shooty,
Aye.
Mills,
Aye.
Mr. Bloom,
Aye.
Mr. Parrish,
Aye.
Mr. Whitboom.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. 5.4, approve first reading of policy 704, development and maintenance of an inventory of fixed assets and a fixed asset accounting system. John?
So this policy was updated, and the change comes in section 3, where it defines the capitalization level equal to or exceeds $5,000, and the total threshold of $25,000. This would be a change for the district from where it has been. It is MSBA policy and their recommendation for the change. So the recommendation was for approval.
Okay, and this is first reading, yeah.
Yep.
Need a motion for first reading of policy 704.
So moved.
Motion by Ann,
Second?
second by Matt. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor of the first reading of policy 704, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. 5.5, approve Trojan Field Impact Testing Agreement.
So this was presented to the instructional committee. It's impact testing on Trojan Field. When you have a turf field annually, you should be impact testing it so that it ensures safety on the field. This would be a 3-year agreement with IEA, and the cost of the agreement, let me find it here. Oh, okay, I'll look there. $3,510. And the recommendation was for approval.
Need a motion to approve the Trojan Field Impact Testing Agreement.
So moved.
Second.
Eric, motion by Eric, seconded by Lori. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the Trojan Field Impact Testing Agreement, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. 5.6, approve budget reductions.
So both committees actually looked at this information. In relationship to this, you were provided a revenue and expenditure sheet, which is a quick look at where the district is heading in the future. We did update the 24-25 numbers. The enrollment numbers were originally, this document never showed VIBE revenue or expenditures. They weren't rolling forward like they were supposed to. Mr. Swanson did a lot of work to go through the spreadsheet and all the things that connect to it. So there was adjustment from 43.9 million to 45.7 million. As that flows through, it shows you basically between the revenue and the expenditures that in 2026-27, there is no, it's basically a balanced budget at that point in time. He also created a second sheet that showed if you were to make the $1.5+ million reduction, how that would affect the overall budget. And basically making that reduction would actually show you that you would move the balanced budget out to 2028-29. So it put the district in a better financial condition. So with that, the budget reductions, the principals all provided possible reductions out of their building. They were given a target, which was approximately 2% of their current budget. And each one of them provided that. Some of these reductions listed on this sheet have already occurred, such as the high school. Mr. Hastings was proactive and did not rehire for para positions. With the board's approval of restructuring the district office, that was a savings that already has occurred, and so on. So throughout this document, there are some of those things that have already occurred. Another example is with the service co-op contract, we were able to reduce the number of site contracted services as well as SLP contracted services due to being able to hire those as in-person positions. So with that, the total of reductions is $1,567,920. Please remember the community ed is not, you would need to take that number off because they are in the Fund 4. So they're making a few reductions to kind of address some of the additional para support they have. So with that, the recommendation from the administration, or I'll say from myself, is to approve the reductions and ensure that the district remains fiscally healthy.
Mr. Chairman, move to approve the budget reductions as presented.
I'll second the motion.
Motion by Matt, seconded by Lori. Is there any further discussion?
So I can start. I know there's others that probably have some questions as well. When I look at this list, my biggest concern is that we asked for a 2% cut across the board without necessarily a need for that cut in some places. So I am 100% behind doing things that are fiscally responsible, where we're looking at cost optimization and doing things to put us in better shape so that we can either save money or we can reinvest our dollars in the teachers and the staff that are with our students every single day. So I would be supportive of moving forward with some of this list, also knowing that some of this list has already moved ahead. The concern I have is any position that is on this sheet that directly impacts student success and student support. And I think we have to look at that at a more granular level, building by building, and not at a full 2% rate across the board. I think there are opportunities to get leaner in some buildings, but not all. So those would be my concerns with looking at this as an all-in vote across the board.
Yes, I feel like when John asked administrators to go to their buildings and look at their budgets, this is what they came up with. So people in the buildings are recommending things that they, although it's difficult, recommending that they feel like they can, for lack of better words, live without.
And you gotta remember, a lot of these positions that were put into place was because of ESSER funds, and I know that was before you were here, and we knew going into this, nobody enjoys doing this, and with those ESSER funds now depleted, this puts our back against the wall. It was good, but now it's almost like it's evil. And it's hard, but talking with all the leaders of the schools, nobody likes it, but it's easier to do it now. Because yeah, some of those positions, retirements haven't been filled, could be resignations. I mean, I understand the student success part, but you know, I'm hearing about the paras. And that's in the second grade, and I understand that. It's a great thing, but I find it's a difficult decision, but it's an easy decision now to move forward and doing it, I feel, instead of when it's in a really difficult position and it could really affect other lives. And some of these positions, what's nice now is they can be moved to another job, which is kind of an asset in doing this right now. And like I say, it's too bad the ESSER funds put us in this position, but it was great. It was to help us get students caught up. Hopefully that's happened. It's tough to make everyone happy in this position.
And for many years, Prairie operated with half the number of paras, or half the number specifically at grade 2. Paras were shared between classrooms and they were having great success. Heidi was able to create a schedule where students were able to get services. It takes a little more work on Heidi's part and on teaching and para staff to make sure that it's all coordinated. But Heidi and I had a long conversation here, gosh, probably been a month back, and she feels confident that she can create that schedule.
You know, and who knows, someday maybe we can bring these positions back. This is just for the time being. I mean, that's what the unknown is right now, and I agree with Ann. I mean, this request was by John to the school leaders, and I think they've done a good job, and we're not really gonna affect too many people, if any, losing a job, and I guess I'm somewhat proud of that.
It troubles me that we're continuing to have a conversation about how this is not affecting anyone that's working here, and no one is having a conversation about how it's affecting the students in the classroom and what that's going to look like in terms of, I mean, we're talking about 15 paras, 5 licensed staff, and how that is going to affect the student learning, student performance, etc. I understand that there are things on this list that we've already approved and that there are cuts, but what I still don't understand after 2 months of asking these questions is why are we looking at reducing the budget when part of the problem is that I've had 3 different dollar amounts in front of me in the last week. Currently, the dollar amount, the total fund balance estimate is $38 million, which is well over half of what our expenditures are in any given year. And so to sit here and say that this isn't affecting a person that's hired, I completely understand that. But when we're looking at a 27.4% reading at grade level statistic in 3rd grade, our goal is 40, and the statewide average is 46.6% at reading at grade level, and we're talking about removing 2 paraprofessionals and 2 interventionists in our Prairie and our intermediate building. I don't understand how that's value. The idea that we're cutting 2% in each building is a valid concept in terms of let's make a list and let's make a goal, but those dollars are not equal. A reading interventionist at Prairie is worth more. It's going to pay per capita more for that student in the long run than many other positions in this school. And to cut that position, I mean, for me, it's really about these 7 paras and 2 interventionists in the lower levels. I think those are student-facing positions. They're addressing our students who are in most need. It's addressing a goal that we are failing to meet. And I am really struggling to understand how that is worth keeping $2 million in our fund balance. You know, putting money in the fund balance is taking money away from our students in the now. And we might be saving money in the future, but it's taking money away from our students right now.
And to bring it back to the numbers, in the beginning, the goal was 1 million. We're sitting here looking at a list that is close to 1.6 million. If we addressed and kept the pairs and the interventionists in the lower levels, we would still be over $1 million in cuts. We would still be doing our due diligence and doing the right thing from a fiscal perspective. I get that there's a lot of unknowns out there, but we don't have to go this deep across the board given what we have in front of us from a numbers perspective. And I'm with Eric. The numbers have changed a lot in the last 5 weeks, actually. We had estimates for 23, 24 5 weeks ago. Now we have actuals. Those actuals show us at 4 million plus more in revenue than what we thought we had 5 weeks ago, and $500,000 less in expense than what we thought we had 5 weeks ago. That's $4.5 million to the good. So the numbers are a little fuzzy at this point in time, and we're making deep cuts and we're impacting students at these lower levels. I don't think we have to do it. I mean, the cuts here are a solution looking for a problem to me. We can keep going with these folks at these levels.
The assignment to cut 2% came before we found this additional $4.5 million on the budget sheet. And so I feel like while it's important to be proactive, it's important to be very mindful of this budget, I think that these cuts are a bit premature and speculative based on variables that we don't quite have a firm grasp on. I think we should continue the conversations, promote efficiency, examine our operations and our true needs, but I'm just not seeing the immediacy of this right now.
Well, we have a motion and a second. So,
Yeah, this is good fiscal responsibility at this point. Back to Eric, taking fund balance and moving it to the operations of the district. The operations, that's ongoing every year. So you're gonna, every year then be taking fund balance and moving it to the operations part of the district. I don't wanna have to come to the voters in 2 or 3 years and say, we didn't do our due diligence right now, and now we have to increase the operating referendum. Nobody wants to see that. Right now we have this across the board 2%. I feel like every dollar is always gonna hurt a student. It just is. But this is good fiscal management to do it now. We don't know what the legislator's gonna do. We don't know what that funding's gonna be. We have negotiations coming up with our largest bargaining group. We don't know where that's gonna land. So we can always adjust this or come back or rehire interventionists or rehire whatever we need. But at this point, this is just good fiscal management. So I'm in support.
I know we're unique, obviously, in many levels. I was reading a story this afternoon of the metro districts that are a $280 million shortfall. St. Michael Albertville has a $3.3 million shortfall. St. Cloud has a $500,000 shortfall. That's right now. Shortfalls are happening throughout our state. We're in a situation that is projected to worsen. I think I'd like Mr. Langard to explain a little bit more about the projections. We all do cash flows and projections in our personal lives, and we know it's a fuzzy moving target. But based on what we know now and the numbers we know now, the longer range projection is dire.
So, yeah, when you look at the sheets, and again, this is a one moment in time, just like the test scores. They're one moment in time. You have to take them for what they are. It's our best estimate of what the revenue will be and our expenditures will be. We're still dealing on the expenditure side with double-digit increases, so larger, which creates a larger inflationary factor that we have to deal with. But what it does show is, again, if you make the reductions early at the end of this estimation, which is 2930, you potentially have an $8 million swing in the fund balance, over an $8 million. The good news is, and I can tell you this doesn't happen in every district, when you make reductions and have to lay nobody off, that's a good thing. That doesn't happen very, very often. Again, I totally get your concerns about the interventionists or the paras and the academic support, but I don't believe our principals would have put those forward without some careful consideration. And again, our test scores aren't moving. I can tell you, I'll tell you right up front, I'll say it to anybody, our teachers do a great job of growing kids. They excel, our kids are growing, they're doing what they need to do academically, but the MCA is not, in my view, a good representation of the success of our teachers and our students. And if you bank a reduction decision on test scores, in my view, that's wrong. And if you look at the preliminary data that the financial model showed from Barrett, it will tell you that we are higher than the comparable districts by substantially in the student support area. You currently, even with these reductions, will show you're spending at a higher rate for pupil support than comparable districts. And everybody wants to point to our student population. Yes, that plays a factor, but that's not the total factor. And in my view, I'm frustrated with, we cannot continue to blame our student population on why we need all this support. We have to do a better job of addressing each kid as an individual.
Okay, we had a motion by Matt and a second by Lori. Is there any further discussion?
Can we pick this apart and try to hit the 1 million that was originally asked for? Do we have to do this all in one fell swoop and not look at this more closely to hit the 1 million target? That was a fine target a month ago, 2 months ago when we started looking at this. And it'd still be our target.
It's my understanding that there's 600,000 here that's already been approved and cuts. Like that in terms of the district office, the service co-op, et cetera, things that are happening.
Can we find $400,000 more that has the least amount of impact on our students?
I just think that's going to be too subjective. This is just equitable across the district, and we asked our principals, admin team to do it this way. It's sort of kind of how it's always been done in the past. I want to keep bringing up the past since I'm a past board member, but this makes sense to me across the board to do it this way. Otherwise, who's going to say, well, that's less of a cut or doesn't impact as much, or, you know, again, I don't think that's discernible. So I just as soon do the whole thing and then come back later, next year or 2 years, when we know some more of what the inflation's going to do, what the legislator's going to do. Again, the things I said the first time around, what our bargaining units are, what we'll have a better idea of where we'll be with those crystal ball things.
Yeah, I mean, administrators didn't do all the work to have a governing board pick it apart. Administrators did the work that they were asked to do. They know what's happening in their buildings. They see the work every day. They see the possibilities. Nobody likes cuts. I don't like cuts. I was a budget cut as a teacher many years ago, and it stinks. But if we are not smart about it now, the cuts that we're gonna have to make in the future are gonna be even more difficult.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. All those in favor of the budget reductions presented, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please raise your hand. Motion passes 4-3. Okay, 5.7, approve city maintenance and scheduling agreement.
A couple years ago, we started the maintenance and scheduling agreement with the city of Worthington, which has been an outstanding partnership. They presented it again this year, and the maintenance agreement cost for next year would be $12,826. It is an increase of 15%, but well worth the money spent. It's been a great partnership and worked well. So the recommendation from the Operations Committee was approval.
Okay, I need a motion to approve the city maintenance and scheduling agreement.
I'll move to approve the city maintenance and scheduling agreement at a cost of $12,826.
Motion by Aaron,
Second?
seconded by Matt. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor of the city maintenance and scheduling agreement, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Okay, 5.8, approve turning over a playground area to the city of Worthington. John?
So back when we sold property, roughly 3 acres, to Smock for their new facility out on the Prairie Elementary site, During that time, it was recorded that also the property that the playground is on was turned over to Smock, yet they have no deed, they have no, it's not part of the purchase agreement. So I believe there was a recording error at that time. I have talked to them. They do not want the property. And so what this is, it was discussed at the operations committee. I would need your approval as a board to say we're going to turn it over to the city, and then I'll work with Smock and the city to get that accomplished. And of course, the city would pay for that to get turned over to them. And it'd probably be through a quick claim deed for that parcel of property. It's a little over an acre, I believe.
That was on operations.
That was on operations, yes. Recommendation was to turn it over to the city.
Okay, I need a motion for turning over the playground area to the city.
I'll move to approve turning over a playground area to the city of Worthington.
Motion by Aaron,
I'll second.
seconded by Lori. Any further discussion?
John, is the playground and is that part of that tennis court, old tennis court there?
It's a playground, the tennis court,
Court.
which the city resurfaced here a year or two
Go,
ago.
okay, you're right.
And then there's some grass area just north of the
that.
playground area, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I do have a map if you really want to see it, but it's kind of a rectangle piece of property.
Thank you.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor of turning over the playground area to the city of Worthington, say aye.
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 Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Okay, 5.9, approve lease with the city of Worthington.
So the facilities group from the city and the school have met and talked about creating some opportunities of collaboration. With that, the conversation with the group, at least to, address this summer, would be to create some soccer fields at Prairie Elementary. The city of Worthington is willing to come in and create those fields and then work to improve the fields. And the conversation was leasing that to them for $1. Now, there would be some upfront costs by the district for seed and our share of seed and fertilizer and helping with the goals. And it would become a public community access point for soccer. Again, the first year costs are going to be probably $25,000 top end. It is kind of a rough guess. Soccer goals aren't cheap, but there's some equipment involved. The school would be responsible for the garbage cans and the porta bathrooms that exist, and then the city would do the mowing maintenance of the field. And their goal is eventually to make some nice soccer fields. They are currently looking at 3 fields with 3 adult fields with 2 youth fields. So trying to get 5 fields to start out for this summer. And they would like to start working on that as soon as we can put an agreement together. So
Wouldn't that take up most of the area at Prairie that's out
they
there?
take up a good chunk of what's east of the building. So, yeah. And it was recommended by the operations committee to move forward.
Would be a little less maintenance for us too, right?
Yes.
And just to clarify, one of the benefits of renting this to the city is that then the city assumes liability. If there were injuries, if someone twisted their ankle because of uneven ground or something like that. That's right?
Yep.
Okay.
Absolutely. Thank you for reminding that or bringing that up.
Okay, looking for a motion to approve the lease with the city of Worthington.
So moved.
Motion by Lori.
Second.
Ann? Was that you?
Yep.
Second by Ann. Is there any further discussion?
Mr. Chairman, if Mr. Langard could clarify that this will be primarily summer use, but to lessen any risk of congestion in the parking area, bus area, parking lots. Don't see that as being any concern for the building itself.
No, it's summer and after hours is when it'll get utilized. Already, there's a lot of what I'll call pickup Sunday afternoon games out on that site. This just actually gives them a hopefully much better area to play. And it does move some of it closer to Pleasant. So from the parking during the school day, I don't really see an issue.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor of the lease with the city of Worthington, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. 5.10, approve health insurance bid selection. Would that be Carmen?
Carmen.
Carmen?
Dina can join us here too.
Okay. So we had 11 carriers respond to our request for the proposal. 6 sent us bids and 5 declined. Currently, the board has our recommendations in front of them. Is there any questions on the plans that we proposed?
Is that who we're with now, right?
Yes.
Yep. The insurance committee's recommendation would be to continue with Sanford due to continuity of care as well as the cost savings. They're looking at a total maximum cost of 6% for this fiscal year, and then the next school year, 26-27, I believe, would be a cap, not to exceed cap at 12.6% or 12.9%.
Okay. Need a motion to approve the health insurance bid.
So moved.
So, just 1 second. So in the insurance committee's letter that we requested to, the board make a motion to transition to the $1,000 deductible plan, a $1,650 HSA non-embedded plan, as well as the $3,500 HSA plan. And then that recommendation would be contingent upon the pending union vote to remove the $500 deductible plan.
Do we know when that vote will take place from the union? Or they said,
We are hoping by April 2nd, so that our projected open enrollment for benefits this year will be April 17th through the 28th.
okay, so April 17th is open enrollment for the,
Correct.
Committee did ask.
In the
Motion include, would that include their,
Yes, I'm looking at what Dina's talking about right now.
okay. And if I heard right, Matt
Yes.
seconded it?
Yes.
Okay. So motion by Ann, seconded by Matt.
Mr. Chairman,
Yep.
there is union representation at the meeting, and they were saying that that date is not achievable,
Okay.
April 2nd.
It's not gonna happen by April 2nd.
Okay. Does that have an impact on?
We'll try to have it before open enrollment, but we can't guarantee by April 2nd.
So, we're gonna have to have a date because, we have to have it done and then send it back to Sanford, get all of our stuff in place. So, do you guys have an idea? This was part of the discussion with them.
I don't know, you wanna give us time during the day to meet?
So the other option is to
You do it Friday afternoon.
remove the contingent on a vote portion from the motion?
Yeah, so if the teachers' union, since they're our largest union group, they have to vote to remove the 500 plan. If they would vote against that, then we would just go back to our current plans, which are the 500,000 and the 3,500.
When is the district's deadline to respond to Sanford?
They need 2 weeks, so, basically that first week of April would be our deadline. And that's cutting it kind of short on unless we want to push back our open enrollment, but then that gets a little messy going into May, so.
It deals with employees getting their updated insurance cards and stuff on time.
In the operations committee meeting, we really dove into this pretty deep and, realized that there is a significant cost savings to the district if we can eliminate that $500 deductible plan and shift those folks, those 60-some folks on the $500 deductible plan to the $1,000 deductible plan, and eventually move in the direction of HSA. So if we can, facilitate this vote with the union, I think that there is a potential significant gain to the district. So I think we should try and be flexible, but also work together with the union to see if this is possible.
I think if we stayed with the 500, 1,000, and the 3,500 plan, it would be 6%. However, if we moved to the $1,000 deductible, 1,650 HSA, and the 3,500 HSA, it would be about a 4.2% increase. And we were projected to see a 37% increase this year on our health insurance premiums. Not district budget, that's based on the usage of our premiums that we pay in versus the usage and consumerism of our plans.
So how this affects like our budgets, I know one of the questions that we were asked is, do we budget that 37? So the 37 would be like the total premium, and then the district has their district share. So controlling our premium cost also keeps that district board chair level reasonable, and then also allows us to still offer a decent wage. Otherwise, if we keep growing, if our insurance rates keep going up, either we're going to have unaffordable health insurance, or you're going to put most of your negotiations to insurance and not salary. So like Aaron had said, our conversation is really like, we got to also figure out how to educate our employees on how to, better ways to use their health coverage and help us keep our costs under control. Obviously, an HSA plan helps do that more than just a 500 deductible plan. So what do you think? I'm looking at a calendar.
And it would also depend on if the board is interested in looking at an MOU about insurance ahead of time. Our team hasn't had time to even talk. So we've talked a little bit. Our negotiations team has talked a little bit. In the letter that we sent to the board, we said that we would be interested in looking at an MOU to incentivize those HSA family plans, especially because they're so expensive still. So if there was a way that we can incentivize folks moving to the HSA, maybe that would help our members to make that kind of decision too. So I think Becca has a letter of intent to bargain to present to Adam tonight. Maybe she did already.
Mm-hmm.
So if I don't know, maybe before it would be good to visit soon with the negotiations team to see what your thoughts are about if there's a possibility to possibly bargain something before open enrollment, which that's a tight timeline too. So, okay. Not the whole contract, just that little teeny tiny.
We could look at the option of changing our open enrollment and pushing it, later, either into April or that first part of May, to give the union time, if you think that would work, Jody.
Carmen, do you want to set a firm date so we know, so we're not in limbo here? I think we have to.
I think it would be preferable to set a firm date
Yes,
because
sir.
we already have all of our vendors set up to come. So, so it would be all of our vendor carriers. So WEX, Delta Dental, Emeritus, Sanford, That way, we can move and shift that date back and give them a specific date and time when they can come.
One of the reasons that we did the April 17th date is that it's an early out. So probably, I don't know, 5, 6 years ago, I had started doing like a benefit fair to really educate our employees and having our vendors there to share the information with our employees. That actually went over well. That really is the only date that we have open. So if we move our open enrollment date, then we won't be able to do that.
Sure.
And then part of the thing is that it's good for our employees to be able to talk directly to the people that they're buying their insurance from or ask questions if they have claim questions. So that's a plus for that April 17th date. But I mean, we can move the date, but I kind of need the union to give us, like, we can meet date. And if that's, I guess my feeling is if that's tied to the MOU, I don't feel like that's probably gonna happen. So then we maybe just want to stay with where we're at this year and think about next year.
Well, if you got a cost savings going from 6% down to 4.2.
It's huge.
And insurance is fully costed in the percentage, why wouldn't we try to get that done?
Yeah.
Just looking at it, it's not shooting for the moon. It's a small amount. I think that could do it. So it's just how you would cost it.
No, I agree. Like, we've had conversations with the union and with our insurance committee. We are all in agreement with coming up with like a HSA amount that goes to single and an HSA amount that goes to family, because our family plans are extremely high for a lot of our employees. So I mean, I think that is a really good benefit that we need to offer our employees. Currently, what you guys do is basically you set your district amount, and the difference of that all goes into a single HSA. So you would have to adjust that too, like maybe the single wouldn't get quite as much in there. A lot of districts just put a flat amount into their HSA plans, and that's what they negotiate. So that's an option. But I think all of that, if we have to do an MOU before the union wants to vote on it, that you guys are really crunching days, and I'm not sure if that all can happen. I mean, I would like to be able to figure it out, but I'm not sure that we're gonna be able to do that. And I don't know what the board's position is as far as having an MOU before you actually negotiate the contract. So I'm not sure, because that's usually part of the overall negotiation. So I mean, I think that's up to the board if you guys are willing to do that. Dean and I are all for it. We are more than willing to work with the union and come up with that. We've already had some pretty decent conversations. I think it's definitely, I think that's where we should move. That's our recommendation, but I'm not sure we can get there.
Is the concept behind an MOU to offer like a one-time financial incentive to those folks on the $500 deductible to move to the 1,000, or like what?
No, I think it's really overall. So I think it's like, let's look at that benefit health insurance amount and figure out what that's going to be, the district share, and then how much is going to go to single and how much would go to family across the board. So anybody who currently has either HSA plan or has, you know, the 500 or the 1,000 that want to switch to an HSA.
Dina, do you have those amounts in front of you? Who is, or how many, not who, but how many are on the $500 deductible now?
Yes.
So we have 91 employees on the 500 plan, 35 are teachers. I don't.
Basically, we're waiting for a date, or else we gotta amend this motion, I would imagine.
Jody, what do you think?
We could probably do it by April 7th.
I mean, if they can do it April 7th, I think we can stick with the April 17th date and then still move forward.
Okay.
And we will, I mean, obviously, maybe at the closed session, you guys will talk a little bit about the negotiations. That's what we're discussing. And then maybe have a meeting with the union.
For 7th?
We might need to change.
Oh, might change meet and confer date.
We're supposed to be April 7th, so we might need to change if we're gonna.
Gotcha, do that. Okay. Okay.
Okay. And that's okay with you guys, anything? Okay, so we got a motion, we got a second to approve the health insurance bid selection. All those in favor of the health insurance bid selection presented, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. 5.11 is the Southwest West Central Service Co-op contracts for the 25-26 school year. I'll have that to John.
So this was presented at the Operations Committee. As you go through the overall contract, we have switched the environmental services. We used to be through McNeil, now we'll be through IEA. Last year's contract was for a partial year, so the full year number is there, which is a little over 13,000. The business services, we're seeing the contract go from a little over 46,000 to almost 56,000. In the technology services area, we're going from 83,000 to 97,000. Technology integration support, almost 202,000 to the new contract would be 225,000, almost 226,000. And then, excuse me, comprehensive cybersecurity went down from 36,000 plus to 33,600. And then the student data privacy program is $1,950 for next year. Where the changes come in the contract additionally is in services under the special education. School psych, we reduced to 1 FTE of school psych services versus the 2 FTE since we were able to hire. That dropped from 246 to 128,000. Speech language pathology, we dropped from 116,000 to 46,000 and change. That was due to we were able to actually, after 4 years, hire a district speech therapist. And then the teacher visually impaired actually dropped from 38,000 to 31,000. Occupational therapy, and these are kind of a la carte type services that based on the student needs we have. So they went through the other one where the change came was in the special education administration services. Last year we had an amendment on the contract, so it didn't show the total salary, and that is showing a big increase from 158,000 to 351,000, but that only showed one administrator. So in the total contract based on changes and what we did, the proposed was $1,226,308.95, and through making adjustments, we went down to $1,156,283. So the recommendation would be to approve the service co-op contract.
And that, if you make any changes to that, that has to be done by March 1 technically, right?
So if we are not going to, example, have any psychology services, yes, we have to notify them prior to March 1st, and this contract is due April 1st.
So I guess in the future then, your time is done in July, but like Josh and Carmen, maybe next year we could start the conversation a little sooner.
Actually, I think we have to start it even sooner. So there's a portion of this contract that the notification has to be done by July 1st if we want to make changes to that particular portion.
Right, and
a full year and a half ahead.
Right, and I don't know if we'll get that, but like I say, that's something for you guys to keep into consideration too. I think let's talk sooner, and if there's any other recommendations or changes you guys feel, it'd be nice to know.
Just a quick question.
Yep.
Our student count went up by nearly 600 students between 24, 25, 25, 26. That's our projection to go from 33, 900?
Yeah, what happened was they weren't originally counting the Vibe students.
Okay.
Now they're counting the Vibe students.
Okay.
Okay, I need a motion to approve the service co-op contract for 25, 26.
I move approval of the service co-op contract for the year mentioned.
Okay, motion by Lori,
Second.
second by Ann. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor of the,
Yeah.
did you have some?
I was just going to suggest that when we have our next work session meeting, I think it would be good to have a conversation about our usage of the service agreement, given the fact that we do have to make projections like a year and a half in advance if we want to continue some of the services. So I just wanted to make that request to have that placed on the agenda for the next work session or one in the next coming months.
Or when are we scheduled, Lisa? April 9th, 8th? At a night meeting? Night meeting? Okay. Do we kind of have a big agenda already?
Yep.
I mean, we could put it on there, but if we don't get to it, it'd have to go to the next. Okay. Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of the service co-op contract for 25, 26, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Okay, on to report. Superintendent's report.
I just want to mention, I did get a printout of the compensatory revenue today or this afternoon. So under the current hold harmless, and then we're at about 7.8 million. The current law shows that we would be slightly over 5 million. And the governor is proposing 8.3 really, so it's kind of that whole harmless effect with some increase. The impact of the current law is that we would see a reduction of 2.7 under the governor's proposal. It's 505,000 increase. Again, where that lands, there's got to be a lot of conversations regarding compensatory revenue, and they have minimal dollars unless they cut other areas to shuffle the dollars around. I just will tell you compensatory revenue is a big impact to this district. I do know they're on Thursday having a hearing on compensatory revenue, of which I know there will be some superintendents testifying related to that. And they have to find a fix for this. This was all related to paying for meals for all students. And what happened was the direct certification has created this disparity that's occurring. So they have to address how they're going to handle this because there's a fundamental flaw in what's going on. So more to come, but at this point, we're looking at a $2.7 million reduction. It could change by the end of the session.
Question for Mr. Landgard, different subject though, is that okay?
Yeah.
I believe last month you attended the superintendent conference in New Orleans. How was that, and what did you learn for our district?
So it was a nightmare of flying down and back. That was horrible. And my wife got sick while we were down there, so that was a double whammy. But I did go to the conference and attended a couple what I thought were really good sessions. One was actually on crisis plan and crisis management, and a plan, and there's a school district that I've actually asked Dina to connect with. I brought back some things. They are well ahead of most schools. So they're a good model to kind of borrow from, to update, and we're working on. That has to happen in our district, so that's awesome. One of the other ones was, that I attended was talking about belief leadership and value leadership. And fortunately, what I saw, I think a lot of our administrators are there, but I do plan to share that with everybody as we wrap up the remainder of the school year and talk about your belief and value leadership that's there. And then another gentleman I listened to, and it was really good, he talked about the history, and I got to go back and review his information, because he talked about in history, a turning point in our country's history was 1963, which was the assassination of Kennedy, as well as some other things that really changed what was going on, and it's great information, and I want to recapture what he had in his presentation so I can share that as well here the remainder of the year, because he had some great information. What it really comes down to, whether it's the value leadership or this other gentleman and his presentation of the connectedness we have to our students and to the staff that we have, and how we connect and how we work together and how we can benefit kids in the long run. So really good presentations. I got to grab those so I can share some of that information both with the administration, and then they can share with staff.
Thank you for the update.
Yeah.
John?
Can I do a different topic too? You testified, I think last month, at the Capitol about clawing back up to $2 million in taxes paid. Any movement on that you've heard of?
No, I haven't heard anything.
Just curious.
I'm thinking that we'll get wrapped into the tax bill,
Okay.
depending on what they do. They did lay it over for consideration, so, yeah.
Okay, anything else?
Nope, that's it.
1.2, instructional committee report. Ann, Eric,
We've covered everything.
good? Okay, operations, anything else?
I believe that majority of the items were covered. One item I'd like to bring up that was not discussed at our last meeting per se, but it's the ongoing attempts to do a drainage project at the Quailshine property, and the continued struggle to get that to move forward. The watershed has been dealt setbacks from the DNR. They've invested $250,000 in engineering for a project that is not getting approval from the DNR. The Bowser Group does support the idea, and I would like to suggest we as a board write a letter of support on behalf of our watershed that goes to our elected officials and to our appointed DNR officials. That's penned by our superintendent, expressing our disappointment with the use of $250,000 that could potentially be all for naught, because for whatever reason, they did not know 4 years ago, they didn't support the plan. So, and there's potential, I think eventually it's going to be on us to be responsible landowners and take care of a problem, and if we're not able to get state funds to do so. So I'd like to bring that forward for a discussion and encouragement to have that letter drafted.
Anything else? Good.
I can't remember if it was in operations or city, county, school, but we talked a little bit about having a new three-way stop at Crailsheim and Oxford. I think that's going to go into the works shortly.
Is that gonna happen before the end of the school year, April, right?
I think April.
Okay.
Early April, if I remember correctly.
Mr. Chairman, are we okay with the letter being written, or? That, okay?
Yes.
Mr. Leingard?
That's fine.
Thank you.
Okay, other reports, anybody else got anything? I did talk with John, I'm gonna bring this up. Friday, March 21st is World Down Syndrome Day. Please show your support of wearing blue or yellow or your mismatched socks. It's a half a day of school, and I hope we show support for those kids. 7.0 other business, closed session for negotiations planning is gonna take place.